Welcome back to Iowa Live. Lou and Jackie here visiting with our good friend Michael Jenkins.
Absolutely. We're breaking down something in Chapter 7 this morning. And tell me, how do you say this, Mike? Reaffirmation?
Reaffirmation.
Reaffirmation. Thank you. Okay, so what is reaffirmation, especially when we're talking Chapter 7?
So when you actually come to see your bankruptcy attorney, one of the things that you're going to want to discuss with him is this concept of a reaffirmation agreement. It's basically keeping a debt that you want to take out of the bankruptcy and keep paying on is essentially what it is.
And why would you want to do that?
Can you kind of cherry pick? Are you able to do that?
In a manner of speaking,
Okay.
I mean, generally you're going to be talking about home loans, car loans, things that are have collateral, or so property that's tied to a loan. Those are generally going to be the kind of loans that do get reaffirmed. So the reaffirmation agreement is something that has to take place while you're in the bankruptcy, which is a very limited period of time, like 3 months.
Okay.
And so when the door closes on that, which is your discharge, it generally can't be reopened to come back later on and get one. So if you're going to get these done, you really need to talk to your attorney, even during the first time you go see them. If you are familiar with the concept, ask your attorney if they're going to help you get these, because to some people they're very important. I don't find them to be the end of the world if you don't sign one, but they can be useful.
To kind of go back to Lou's point, like why would you? Is it because a morale situation, or you truly are hoping to keep some sort of credit in your life while going through bankruptcy?
It's mainly, so the point of it is credit reporting, frankly. So debts that are not reaffirmed, which is almost all of them,
right?
They're discharged in the bankruptcy. So at the end of the case, and you get your final paper, all the debts that can be gone are gone, not your student loans and not the recent taxes and things like that. But all the other debts are shown on the credit report as they're gone now. And
so why would you even want to burden yourself with trying to take care of some of the ones that could go away?
Well, you usually are going to do them for your home if you're wanting to keep your home. Now you don't have to have one to keep it. You still got to make your payments whether you reaffirm or not.
Right.
Your car, if you don't have one and you still make all your car payments, you get to keep your car. But if you sign this agreement, it's a more formal situation. It's got consequences. So when you sign them on your credit report after bankruptcy, they will appear as if you never had a bankruptcy as to those debts.
Okay.
So when all the other debts are going to show in the credit report, zero balance, part of a Chapter 7, zero balance to MasterCard, zero balance to the medical bill. It'll show Veridian Credit Union with your 2018 Chevy Malibu. That loan will still show a balance if you reaffirmed it.
Okay.
It'll continue to show your history of payments, and so that helps you.
That would help you in the long run.
Well, it can help you build your credit score.
Got it.
Now you can still keep these items without signing this formal document called the reaffirmation agreement, but you have to make your payments and not default on it. And as long as you do, they don't really have a recourse against you to pick up the collateral or take it away because you're paying on it. So you really haven't defaulted.
Do you, as an attorney, encourage clients to go down this road, or is this something that you don't always?
I discuss it with my clients.
Say it's an important thing.
You know, if it's in their best interests, then I will talk to them about it, and I explain the process to them and ask them, you know, is this something you want to do? Now, when it comes, it's got to be signed, so there's a process to getting this done.
Right.
So this debt comes out of the bankruptcy. So the first thing that has to happen is the creditor, whether it be for your car, whether it be for your mortgage, they prepare the document, and then they send it to me. So if our client wants to have one of these, then we send it out to our client, say, here's this document that you had wanted, you need to sign it and get it back to us, and I've got to sign it. So the creditor signs it because they kind of want the person to do it. They become liable and stay liable for the debt. Makes sense.
Right. They're going to get paid.
The person who owes the debt, well, they've got to sign it. That kind of makes sense too. So there's a new agreement between the person that owes the debt and the person that had the debt, the bank. And so it's kind of just like a bankruptcy contract. And then it's generally going to occur that the attorney would need to sign it. It becomes kind of complicated if the attorney doesn't. So if I sign that document, I'm making a representation to the court that I feel that this agreement does not impose an undue hardship on my client by getting themselves into this thing.
Okay.
And what that means basically is when we're doing these bankruptcy documents that we file with the court, part of it is showing the person's income that they have in their family every month. And it also shows all of their regular monthly living expenses, including the payment they want to reaffirm. And at the end of the document, you better show that you're above water. You can't be negative $100.
Okay.
Otherwise, by definition, that imposes an undue hardship.
Right.
And so that's a big flag that I shouldn't be signing it. Well, if I know my client is interested in doing one of these, we pay particular attention to the income and expenses, because some of these expenses are discretionary. So if we had in there the person was going to spend $200 a month in their budget on general recreation entertainment, and they want to have one of these, and they're like $100 in the hole, if they have that, we may not show $200 in recreation. They just don't have as much fun until they get more income. And so we back that down to a number that will show.
So you can adjust accordingly.
Sure.
Okay.
We're mindful of this when we're preparing these documents so someone doesn't get in a jam. So if I don't sign it and the person just insists, I got to have one of these things, well, okay, you go convince the judge. So we'll file the document.
I'll step back here and watch you.
We file the document, and the person signs it, and the judge sets it for a hearing. So generally the judge doesn't set hearings on these things unless the attorney doesn't sign it, or if the attorney signs it and their budget shows they're in the hole, which is kind of an inconsistency.
Right.
The judge sets a hearing, goes, what's going on and why are we doing this?
I was going to say, so it can still go through even if you don't put your signature on it.
It's not so likely, but in theory it could go through. Then the judge has a hearing, the people go down. I pretty much am never in the situation, because if my client is going to sign it, it's usually I'm going to sign it. It's very rare where my client insists they want to try anyway. I don't go down to the hearing.
Right.
Because I tried to convince my client, that it's not likely the judge is going to do this, but if you want to convince the judge, you be my guest.
Yeah.
And usually the judge says, well, we really can't approve this. It looks like you're going to get yourself into a jam.
Trouble.
And the judge usually explains to them, you can still keep these things, you can still pay them, you just can do it without having this formal reaffirmation agreement.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the consequences you mentioned, because if you do sign this and it goes through, there's going to be a little bit more of those consequences, correct?
Well, there can be. If you don't default or slow pay your payments, there'll be no consequences. There'll only be good stuff.
Right.
Your credit score will go up. All these payments will be reported. So that's all a good thing. But sometimes people have ongoing financial concerns, even though they file bankruptcy. They may have had a lack of steady employment going in, and for some people there just seems to be an inconsistency of long-term employment, and so they can continue to have these problems.
Right.
So if you slow pay where you're 60 days delinquent, even though you may not have faced repossession, those things are getting reported to your credit. And once you've gotten your bankruptcy out of the way, you really don't want to have negatives going against your credit, because that's just going to be like a big anchor on it.
So are you a fan of these, or would you discourage people from doing these?
Well, it's an individual case. For those that can afford the vehicle or the home and they'd like to have it, we encourage it. There are benefits to it. Now, with a home, that's a whole different animal. So there are other consequences or benefits other than credit reporting.
Okay.
So a lot of the big mortgage companies, the Wells Fargo's, the Bank of America's, if you reaffirm the loan, besides the fact they'll continue to report those payments on your credit, 2 years afterwards, 3 years afterwards, if you want to borrow more money against your house from that lender and take a new loan out where they pay off the old and give you another $10,000 to go fix your roof or put siding on your house.
Okay.
Well, Wells Fargo won't agree, even if you have an 800 credit score and you've made all your payments to them, they won't let you refinance with them if you didn't reaffirm.
Ah, okay.
There's no law, it's just policy.
They just won't do it.
Just policy.
Okay.
So, there's a benefit there. With the way interest rates have gone in the last year and a half, 2 years, I don't really know that a lot of people are going to want to be refinancing their loans for purely an interest rate reduction.
Right.
Because I'm not so confident we're going to be seeing too many reductions based on people that have already got 4% and lower interest rates. But that would be something people think about. And so it's a consideration. Now, the other kind of loans that sometimes get reaffirmed, but I don't usually do it, are furniture loans. The big furniture outlet in the metro is Nebraska Furniture.
Right.
They have these mega warehouses of furniture that keep going up, and Homemakers is sort of affiliated with Nebraska Furniture. All their papers kind of the same. So those are what some people will reaffirm as well, but we often just have our clients make a cash deal with them because it's collateral, or sometimes they don't have to even pay it and they can keep it. It depends what they bought. Beds can't really be picked up and resold.
True.
So if someone bought a $2,000 bed and they had it for a year, it's not going to do the furniture store any good to pick it up.
Okay.
But there are options out there. We
there
want to
are.
let people to know about when you are going through bankruptcy, and you're the guy to talk to, so you can kind of break it down for them. Let them know if this is something they want to pursue. So if they want to get in touch with you, Michael, how can they do so? You
can call me at 255-1855, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. You can find us on the internet at www.iowa-bankruptcylaw.com, or you can follow us on Facebook.
There you go. Reaffirmation agreements, a case-by-case basis. Perfect. Wonderful. Sounds good. Thank you, Michael.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you, buddy.